house, John, coming live from Bama. So I want to make this video about why humans are the top predators on the planet. We're not the biggest, we're not the strongest, we're not exactly the smallest either. And this is why this is why nature made us the top predator. That's why nature is so freaking smart. It's like, nature made us the number one predator because we're not too big and we're not too small. We're just right. We're just the right size to keep all 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 everything you know in control. You know, we're the right size to conserve every animal population on the planet because we're the right size. You know, we're big enough to take down. Well, we're smart enough and big enough. Because with the size, you also have to have with the intelligence, you also have to have the size to be able to take out the bigger prey. You know, like if you're too small to hold a gun, like what I'm saying. It's like we're just the right size. It's just like because like for example, if nature would have made the grizzly bear, gave the grizzly bear our intelligence, like the grizzly bear had our ability, say, okay, and it was a grizzly bear that created all the inventions. The grizzly bear were the ones who would be able to talk like us. They would have been able to invent like weapons like us. Like say the grizzly bear would have been the one to invent the gun and know how to use it, not us. But it had to live the same we did. It had to eat, right? It had to eat and it had to kill. And ate meat. It loved eating meat like we do. And the only way to eat meat is you got to kill, you know, other animals to eat the meat. And the grizzly bear, what's an average grizzly bear? About 7, 8 feet tall, 800 pounds, or 600 pounds at least, average size. And just out of necessity, they would have had to kill more species just to survive because they're bigger. The bigger, the bigger you are, the more you have to eat to keep alive. It's just common sense. See, so like if the grizzly bear had our ability, it would have wiped out all the species that we've supposedly have wiped out. The grizzly bear would have wiped them out way faster and a lot, and it would have been going on to the other ones that we haven't gotten to yet to wipe out. The grizzly bear would have wiped out all these species at a much faster rate than we can because they're bigger, they have to eat more, they're stronger than us. They're all around better athletes than we are. They can run faster than us, and all that. Same thing like with the tiger and the lion. They average what 400 pounds, 500 pounds. Even they average, and so this is why nature made us the top predator because nature's perfect. Nature is perfect. See, this is just an example how nature designs everything to work perfectly. It's just man interfering with nature that messes everything up. We get in the way. We get in nature's way. Okay, we have a habit of it. But this is why nature blessed us, not God. Nature blessed us to be the top predator, and we're not too small. You know, we're not too small. Say like the coyote got our ability right. An average coyote is like 40 pounds, right? It weighs, it's like what, it'd be like 3 feet tall, like 40 pounds. The average coyote. So imagine if nature blessed that with our intelligence. It's too small, way too small to take out half the prey out there. And the prey would have exploded in numbers because, the coyote is like too small really to handle a gun, which really, and it wouldn't be able to take it. On the other hand, it wouldn't be able to take out the bigger prey at a fast enough rate for them to, because the prey would have all exploded in numbers and pretty much ate every blade of grass on the planet. And civilization would have died from that. So this is why nature blessed man to be the top predator, to have the um, brain that we have, you know, because we're the right size. We're not too big. We're not too small. It's just everything revolves on common sense, and everything revolves on what's real. This is why I keep saying human evolution is. I mean, no, but human evolution shouldn't be able. I don't think human evolution should be taught in schools anymore. It shouldn't be taught. It shouldn't be taught because we don't have any actual fact to back up what these archaeologists and anthropologists are saying. We don't have facts. We just have a bunch of moldy old bones sitting in the museum, thousands of years old. Nobody knows where the hell they really came from, or who the person really looked like, or what the pecking order. Every civilization had a pecking order. Even back then, they had a pecking order. And like I said, man, it's like all the archaeologists and anthropologists are basing their conclusions on human evolution off of making general statements. And you can't base general statement you can't use general statements in reality. You can't do that. You can't like general statement like I said, the way the archaeologists like talk about like how Neanderthals were. It's like they were made in a factory. It's like they were built in a factory. The way they're trying to explain their civilization. They all came. They all were between a certain height and a certain weight. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's completely wrong. You know, they were just like us. They came in all shapes and sizes. They were all they. You know, yeah. Like I said, they had deformed people back then too. The Neanderthal days, that probably looked more ape-like. They just had deformities, like modern humans have. We have modern humans that have deformities, so they had it back then. You know, and like I said, man, it's kind of like a lot of societies way back in the primitive times. That's how they were run. The biggest and strongest ran everything because they were the best warriors, they were the best hunters, and they ran all the tribes. They were the top of the pecking order. It wasn't the weasel rats that are on the top of the pecking order nowadays, like Bill Gates. See, Bill Gates back in the prehistoric days, he would have been a weasel rat. He would have been banished from the village. A guy like Bill Gates, because back then they didn't need computers. They didn't need that stuff. They didn't need it. They didn't need it. They didn't need it to survive. They needed the best guy, the best hunter, who was able to go out and hunt the most food at a faster rate. That's what they needed to survive back then. So they needed the biggest, strongest hunters to lead the tribes because they were the most important people to the village. And like I said, man, they say back then, most of the warriors and the hunters and the leaders of all the tribes back then, they were cremated. Of primitive tribes, they were cremated. They were burned. They weren't buried. You know, not like the Egyptians. The prehistoric people didn't bury their kings or whatever. They burned them, like the Vikings. They burned them to ash, the bones and all. So there's no way you're gonna find a trace of them because they were gone with the wind millions and millions of years ago. And I also think the shelter they built, Neanderthals, they built igloos much like Eskimos. So you're not gonna find those because during the thaw and they all melted into the ground. So you're not gonna find their, so that's why you're not finding like Neanderthal, like I think they built entire villages of igloos back then. And you're not going to find them because they all melted into the ground, during the thaw, the great thaw. So my theory makes more sense than the theory we're led to believe for thousands and, through hundreds of years. It's wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It couldn't have happened. They really need to stop teaching evolution in schools and need to take down that chart because they don't have any, because it's really ridiculous. It's really stupid how they came up with their conclusions, you know. And but this was about why we are the top predator, and it makes the most sense because we're the perfect size. We're not too big, we're not too small. If we're too big, we're going to take the prey out at too fast of a rate. If we're too small, we'd be we'd take out the prey at a too slow of a rate, where they would overpopulate. The predators would over the prey are usually all herbivores that eat vegetation, and they would have exploded to a size where it would have ate it would have all the vegetation would be totally wiped out, and that's where the base of society starts, is with the you know plants and stuff. So um, all the prey would have eaten every blade of grass by now, and humans would have stopped living years ago because there would have been nothing to eat on the planet. How about doing?